This video we're gonna talk about Angular signals. Now Angular signals is a new concept introduced in Angular 16. What does it do is pretty much keep your state value changes so it can understand change detection. Though it's a very old concept in JavaScript community, but they introduced recently only. So there are a couple of examples showing in their Angular.dev web applications. So you can define a signal and how you update the signal or reset and compute as well. Now a signal is imported from Angular / core library. So let's see some example how to use signal. Now I found a very good Medium post where the person have explained really good how to use signal. So this is one of example. Assuming you have a list of items and you convert it to a signal, and in case you need to be able to compute the total price of the item, what you can do is you can use the reduce to calculate the total item, and signal will automatically detect that the item total value has been changed. So what it gonna do is remove the item from the total price and automatically do the calculation. So let's see the example in the UI. So what I'm gonna do is copy the HTML as well as the TypeScript code. So here we have a list of item. We're gonna import compute. As I mentioned, compute is and signal all are imported from core. So here I have a list of item. This can be taken from any API, or if you have static data, that also fine. So once we have the list of data, we're gonna convert it into a signal using the signal as a constructor and passing the value. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna set the list of item whenever we remove an item with the filter and then remove, as well as the total price. This total price we're gonna call here, as since this is how we call signal value. And if I go back to the UI, okay, we need to pass this in, not a big deal. So if we run our application, we have 45. Now let's assume I remove $10 this one. We see that 35 is already done, right? We remove 20, is 15 only. Now think about if we, instead of signal, we did in any normal JavaScript way, right? There will be no way we could just remove an item and we have to do the we can get the computation data. We always have to run the computation whenever we remove and display the data. So this is very useful concept, and this is very useful when you have several multiple pages where single data is shared. So you can put it into a signal, and then the value is going to automatically calculate, and it can do the memorization also when there is same values are being calculated. Second example is showing and hiding spinner. This is also a very important concept. So whenever we fetch some data from backend, we want to show a loader, and whenever is loading is complete, we want to show the display the data. In that case, what we could do is loading could be a signal, and whenever our data is consumed or success, we can set it to false, and it will automatically disable the loader, and we're gonna get the data. Another concept is reactive programming. So we will set signal assuming our first name or last name assuming. Now we want to be able to calculate is the person is adult or not using the computed function, and this value we can keep it as a variable. Now what we can do is using the effect we can always log this data. However, whenever we set the value, every time we write the signal, we can see that it will gonna compute as well as it gonna log all the data. So this is very useful when you need to send some log data to your database or somewhere for any purpose. This is gonna be really useful. Now another way of using signal is similar to what we have done in the first case, where we need to be able to do some sorting or filtering, or initially we did some calculation counter. So on those cases signal is very useful. Assuming we have a list of to do and we want to be able to know that all to do is done or not, so initially we set is false, and we had a computation where if all the to do is completed, then we say that is completed. Now we can do mutation to push some data or patch some data, and whenever we have done any changes, it will automatically give us a result that if it is completed or not using the mutation what signal automatically offer. This is a very good example. We can take a look. For example, here it is using the JavaScript filter to filter all the data, and if this show is completed or not, and it is doing some sorting as well and returning to filter to do. Now if you notice in the effect, it gonna just print out data. Now every time there is a push, like for example using the mutation, this value will gonna automatically render and it will gonna display if the to do is done or not. So let's import those in our code. We're gonna see how it goes. So here I'm gonna remove all of this. Now since we are using Angular, we don't need all those. I need to set these dot to do's, this dot content, this dot. This is a lot. Something is wrong. I'll do something here. So let's comment out first this line. Okay, let's do it again. Just remove all the constant. I shouldn't need. Effect is imported, but then why this is wrong? is fine. Now this part we can do after init. Let's assume an effect can be done in the Angular. Let's see the documentation where we can run the effect. So effect can run inside the constructor. And then let's say we run the mutation. I'm pretty sure this can be run after the init. To-dos should be able to mutate. So Angular doesn't have mutation, so I can do set let's ignore this for now. We'll see how it goes. If I run it, I should have those console. This effect. Now I cannot push data. So what I can do is set some data. So this is weird. In Angular I cannot run those mutation, but this is available in other frameworks. So let's ignore this for now. But what happened in these cases? This is the same example we saw at the beginning. Now let's use this as an example. We can set the grocery list and add or remove the item. That thing that we don't need. Now if we run the program, let's assume item name equal to this, item quantity equal to this. Now item list, what happened? ng model is not property of input. So I didn't notice that it is using the ng model. So we need to be able to input the form module, and then it should be fine. But whenever you try to set, it is asking for TypeScript issue. I don't know if my Angular is gonna be happy with the TypeScript issue. Yeah. So what I can do, is set the type as any, or I can create a type, but let me create a type which is easier, or in my TypeScript I can ignore the type. Let's do that. Static no, please skip package, or I can do ts ignore. And do yes, yes. So I can do ts ignore and ignore. False, and it should be fine. I can do in here, this should be fine also. Let's see. Let's see now. Okay, so I have a name, okay, in the here I should say stent. And to set ng model option is true. This is the one I want to be able to set. Let me copy on it. Okay, if I type anything as well as, we'll see that it is adding automatically. But I should be able to add this list. Something else I'm doing is not correct, probably, or my browser is lagging. This is getting updated, but this should get updated. So you got the point here. So I believe something I'm doing wrong here, but I don't think so. If anything wrong on the list. Now I've noticed one thing is, if I try without this, that might work. That's why I always want to use a form control. So let's assume I add a quantity. Does my submit works? Yeah. but then type probably is the one causing issue, because this set the type as well as this is causing issue. So the point is I should be able to set the type. Now since I don't have a type definition, this could be issue, but at least I'm pretty sure what I'm writing here is correct. Only problem is I can do is any, so that solve the problem of the TypeScript thing. However, my ng model problem is not gonna solve, so I have no option. I can use, the point was to showcase that if I do that it should work. Let's keep standalone, and that should remove the error for me. The values are not correctly showing, but it's updating. Now this item are coming from here. Ah, so this is the mistake. The document is actually doing the mistake, not me. So let's do this. See, I am adding the item. So here is how it should be done in this. So that's all. I will post a video.